Okay, Ezra's Hashem Yisbarach, we're going to start Shaar Beis. So before we do that, being that we did 150 some Shiurim on TorahLab, can somebody just tell me in one sentence what was it all about? what was the subject of TorahLab? Does this have to be on, or can we I'm from Buffalo.
So that philosophy is people often say people come from cold weather, they should be able to sustain it better. So in your case, you hold that true.
So what's Shaar Aleph about?
Connectivity, keeping the flow smooth.
Keeping the flow smooth. So it's like,
Not disconnect.
Alignment. So everyone's thinking spine.
Bringing it down.
It's about this alignment, but it's really ultimately about taking alignment and making it real within this world, that this world becomes what the focus is for the avoidance.
Malchus. So everyone's saying the same thing, really, right?
Bringing it down.
Bringing it down. So first of all, we learned about what the it is, right? Like what's bringing it down. So what's the it? So we marach on the union of the Arboy Lamois, Kriya, Yitzira, Asiya, or marach on the union of Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. That's also compatible. The Darna one time made a chart, which is also compatible with the Arboy Lamois. And we learned about Machshava, Dibur, Maisa, which is also compatible with Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, and the Arboy Lamois. And not too much about the spherois. We learned this morning a halacha after davening that there's a machlekes rishonim whether you walk back from Shemona Esrei, do you walk 3 steps or 6 steps? Meaning, is the din to walk 3 steps back and then you could just go home, or is the Indian to walk 3 steps back and then part of it is to walk 3 steps forward again? So there's a machlekes. The Torah brings the machlekes rishonim whether those 3 steps forward is just to get back to your chair, or whether the 3 steps forward is part of the process. And the machlekes al pisoid is that what are we doing? It's ka'eved shenifter kapi rabbi. In other words, you're walking backwards like a eved is leaving his rebbe. But are we going from the world about? We're standing in the Shemona Esrei, the world about Silas. Are we leaving and going to Bria Yitzira Asiya? 3 steps. Gamarnu, finished. Or are we descending 7 spherois, starting from Malchus? So go Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, Yesod, Malchus, going backwards. You're standing in Malchus in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you're going back to Chesed, which is the world, the way of the world. Machlekes Rishonim, that's the pshat of the Machlekes Rishonim. We paskin that we're machmer to go back 3 steps first, but the Mishnah Berurah says the nafkamina is. Mishnah Berurah writes this, that the nafkamina is that if you go 3 steps back and then somebody walks by, are they messing up your whole? So if you're already in the oilam of Asiya, so nigmar ha'esek, he doesn't say this, I'm saying, so what's the difference? Let people walk back and forth. But you see, maybe more the Hasidic yeshivas are very backward. Don't disturb my sephirois. I'm in the middle of my sephirois over here. What are you getting involved between your side and Netzach? I mean, like, you're going to mess up the whole world if you do that. So they block people. Then you see a total shtus where people who do walk past, they make them walk again. Like you go back, which is only interrupting it twice. So I'm always amazed how people make things up. By the way, I'm not being arrogant here, because when I see something like that, I look for a makar. Is there a makar for such a thing? Because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. But there's no makar for that. I was looking for a makar for when you walk back 3 steps, you do a little jump. You ever see people do that?
Mm-hmm.
Does everybody do that?
No, I think
you don't do that.
No.
A little bounce there. Right. So I could never find a makar for it until this morning. At about 6 o'clock in the morning, I found a makar in Reb Chaim Kanievsky. He says, somebody asked him, is there an Indian to jump up and down after after when you go back 3 steps, so he says Shalom B'Mreimov, so he said, Hu neged burus, Hu midas burus. The Amaratzim do that.
There's no makor.
No makor. If he says there's no makor, there's no makor. He says the makor is Amaratzim. That's the makor. The makor is Amaratzim. So he says obviously he says they're getting mixed up with jumping up and down Kaddish, 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 so they figure the same thing. Because it's a 3 thing, 3. Shtus. But
Kiddush Levana also, there's some jumping into 3.
well, there you're saying, Geshem Shani Roike, you're saying 3 times. Yeah, there's a lot of drushes, but it's all Amaratzis. Apparently Amaratzim make those drushes. So don't do that. Okay, so the first Shaar of Nefesh Hachaim, we've all agreed, we know it even maybe better than, we're in the top 1% of the human population in terms of understanding the first Shaar of Nefesh Hachaim, that it's all about the system of creation. I want to say creation, like how Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world and how he created a man, B'Tselem Elikim. And how we are the safe dover of creation. Let me just remind you one thing that he repeats over and over again. Gives the mushal of the wind blower, the glass blower. So the glass blower is blowing. Vayipach ba'ap of Nishmas Chaim. He's blowing into the pipe. The pipe is taking the air and blowing from it a glass. And the Nefesh Hachaim says 3 times. He says this mushal that think of a person, think of ourselves as HaKadosh Vayipach ba'apam nishmas chaim. That comes the neshama, and the ruach is that pipe. Ruach is the pipe, the ruach pipe, and it goes into the nefesh, which is us. Agav, I just want to say one more thing before we leave this sentence here that I just happened to see I saw again in the Tzidkas HaTzadik, that's Reb Tzadok HaKohen, Kuf Mem Zayin, and there he writes that the Nefesh Ha'adam, what is the Nefesh? Because it's so important, Nefesh Hachaim, right? What is the Nefesh? So he says, the Nefesh, Hu Haroitze. It's the part of us that wants things. That's Nefesh. Hu Amadamyin, the part of us that can imagine things.
The drive?
Right, so the drive, the Rotzai. Maspia l'chol chai Rotzai. He gives it to the Nefesh. So the Nefesh it's not the body, that's the goof. But the nefesh is the end of this pipe. Nefesh, ruach, neshama. It's the beginning of Maisa. From that comes the goof.
Animation. No?
I don't know. Like maybe the personality, or maybe the personality. Like what do you say? Who am I? Like I could be like exactly like somebody else in looks, but it's different. The nefesh is one step. It's the top of that goof of Gashmish, which Hu Haroitze, Hu Amadamyen. He has like 4 different words. I'm sorry, I'm quoting him and I don't know what I'm saying. But 4 different words to explain what the nefesh is. So that's how it all gets here. Shaar Beis. Shaar Beis is that was all kind of philosophical. But what do we do? L'maisa tachlis. What is the avodas ha'adam? Based on the Shaar Beis is a very difficult parak. Shaar Gimel is a more difficult parak, and Shaar Dalet is not so difficult. But Shaar Beis and Shaar Gimel get to be very, very difficult.
So has this been like spiritual architecture or spiritual engineering?
Yeah. Like what's the under the hood? Like just get we have a glimpse of. But it's interesting when it comes to avodah. I heard from my Rebbe once, like there's 2 people that look at a piece of art, the same piece of art. And one person is looking at, what method did he use? How did he mix his colors? Did he use pencils? Did he use a brush? Did he use a sponge? What was the method of this art? And I'm sure I don't know anything about art methodology, but I'm sure there's 100 shitas of how to get the art onto a piece of paper. The person's analyzing it. Another person is saying, what is this art? What is he trying to convey? It's a whole different thing you're looking for. One's better than the other, but you can analyze the art from a sort of a technical point of view, and then one can say, but what's the message? So Rabbi taught us that you got to be very careful. Like it's almost the same. They're both looking at the art, but the derech of derech ha'avodah is to try to understand now what. Like what is this trying to convey? What do we do now? now that we know how the whole world sort of look, how the whole world, the difference between Hasidus and Kabbalah is very small, except Hasidus is derech avodah. It's avodah. Like, okay, now what? Like, what are we supposed to do about this? The fact that there are, 4 worlds and 7 olamos, and it's all. So that's the Shaar Beis, and this is mostly Mabia. It mostly expresses itself in the world of tefillah, because tefillah, and this is such an important thing. This is just what I'm going to say now, but I think it's really almost the touch of the whole Shaar Beis. That we think about davening as we're praying for something. Hashem give me parnasa, Hashem give me health. For sure, true. We're praying for something, asking Hashem for something. According to Nefesh Hachaim, I think we'll learn in Shaar Beis that it's not just about praying for something, and almost it's wrong. It's about connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 3 times a day, or whenever you daven, we can connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Once you're connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, yitachein that now you could ask for something also, but it's almost the opposite concept, because asking for something is centering everything around myself. I need money today. Not to say that that's a bad thing to do, but that's not the Ikar Avodas HaTfilah. The Ikar Avodas of Tfilah, the Nefesh Hachaim is going to explain, is connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, understanding that I was created for a particular purpose. On the end of this whole line that we learned in Shar Aleph, of the Neshama, of the Ruach, and the Nefesh. And now what? Now I'm supposed to make a living? Yes, of course you're supposed to make a living, because that's what you have to do to be Makayim yourself. But the main thing is, you created me, what do you want me to do for you today? The main, I believe strongly, I live by this, that the main purpose of tefillah is to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what can I do for you this morning? What can I do for you this afternoon? I'm in the middle of doing a lot of stuff now, but what can I do for you? Marv, what can I do for you tonight? That's the main tachlis of tefillah. Why was I created? I could also say, oh, you want me to do that? I'm going to need a lot of money. I really need to have like a lot of shalom bayis if you want me to build what I'm going to build, what you're asking me to build, or if you want me to help somebody, I'm really going to need some energy. So that's almost the agav in the tefillah. But the nekuda of tefillah is to connect to a higher source. It's a tremendous chiddush. I don't know that ants or rabbits connect to a higher source. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I know that a nefesh can connect to the ruach and to the neshama and everything that we learned about. And I know that from the world of asiya, you can work yourself, you can somehow connect like a chain to the Yitzira, to the Bria, and even stand Batzilus. And when you're standing in Shemona Esrei, you're standing Batzilus. Eitzel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Atzilus means 2 things. It comes from the word Eitzel, which is close, and it comes from the word glow. In Hebrew they say a person is Atzili. Doesn't mean he's close. It means something shining about that person, right? Noble. Atzili. Probably really correctly means like something shining about the person. Atzili, Eitzel, Atzili. So that's what's tefillah. So if we open Shaar Beis, to start speaking about tefillah, how to do it. So what we're talking about is how do you implement Shaar Aleph? That's the main hakdama that I want to say. How do you implement Shaar Aleph into your life? And the ikar is tefillah, and it goes on to say also Torah, also mitzvahs. But right now we're looking at tefillah. I want to just to understand this better, I just want to point out something which is, I'm sure, obvious to everybody, that we say Kriya Shema. When we say Kriya Shema, so we know. We start off saying, "V'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol miyodecha." That's the mitzvah of Ahavas Hashem. The mitzvah of Ahavas Hashem is with 3 things: chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol miyodecha. three things that you have to invest in your Avos Hashem. And the second V'hayim Shemai, this is not a repetition, even though it sounds the same, it's a whole different thing. V'hayim Shemai Tishmo Mitzvahs Asher Anochi Mitzavos Chamayim Li'ahavos Hashem Elokeichem, and here's the big addition, Ule'avdai. I'm sure this is obvious, we all say Kriya Shema every day. But the first paragraph doesn't say La'avdai. Ule'avdai b'chol avavchem u'b'chol nafshechem. So the first, in the words of Gemara, the first chapter, the first paragraph is talking about Kabbalah's Ol Malchus Shemayim. Like in general, mitzvahs, Kabbalah's Ol Malchus Shemayim, V'ahavtas Hashem L'kecha, everything, Chol Avavcha, Chol Nafshecha, Chol Miyadecha. Here there's a Haisafa of La'avdai, and on this the Gemara famously says, Ezu ha'avoida shuhu b'leiv, ha'vayomer zu tefillah. So there's the addition here of La'avos Hashem. In other words, somebody says to a person, bow down to this idol or I will kill you. So, of course, we're all ready to be killed for that, rather than to bow down to Avodah Zarah. What's the pasuk? The pasuk is, V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha, how much do I love you? B'chol avavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol b'yodecha. I'm willing to give up everything. The Gemara has a drasha. Why does it have to say all three? If I'm ready to give up my life, obviously I'm willing to give up my money. So the Gemara says, Lav dafka. There's some people that are willing to give up their life, not willing to give up their money. That's harder to understand than the whole Nefesh Hachaim. Yeah, I'm thinking. That's the mitzvah Kiddush Hashem. It's a mitzvah of, that's the chiyuv of Ava, whatever has to do with Ava. I mentioned before, like I once asked Rav Sheinberg, I said to him, I find fundraising so difficult. It's just difficult to ask people for money. Like, who wants to be in a position to ask anybody for anything, right? As the word is, so dafka the Rabbanim and the Rosh Yeshivas are in this position. You have to ask everybody for everything. Like, well, it's such a difficult thing. So Rav Sheinberg told me that it's not a difficult thing. It's a very simple thing. You just have to put Avos Hashem before Avos Atzmai. Okay, that's easy. Eitzel Moshe Milsa Zutrasei, for him that was an easy thing. Just, it's very simple. Like, in other words, why don't you want to ask anybody for anything, or especially for money? Can you give me $1,000? Can you give me $10,000? Would you consider a gift of $100,000? Like, why do we want to do that? Because it's Avos Atzmai. This sort of diminishes my kavod, and now I become subservient to you, and I have to come on to you, and now you're going to maybe possibly lord after. All those things are not true, but the person's worried about all of those things. I would sound like they say it's a big mitzvah to give a mountain b'seser, so I want to be a fundraiser b'seser. Let's do it the other way around. Like, it's a difficult thing, but if a person, if you're ready to die for a Kadosh Baruch Hu, b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol miyadecha, so why can't you give up a little bit of your covet? So the answer is, I'm thinking, it's people say all the time, I'd rather die than do that over my dead body. People say this all the time. So the Torah says it's not such a pasha d'zach, but the nekuda of the first paragraph of the Kriya Shema is Avas Hashem Iber Al. The second, and this is Nefesh Hachaim begins Shaar Beis with this. The second adds in this Ula Avdai, I need to worship him. It's a different idea. Not just I need to love him, I need to worship him. To worship him, avodah. So avodah, we find avodah b'karbanos, we find avodah, different avodas. We're talking about the mitzvah of ava, la'avo es Hashem Elokeichem, ula avdai, as it relates to the avodah. That's the chiddush of the second paragraph of Kriya Shema. And by the way, it seems to me to be obvious why it says b'chol avavchem or b'chol nafshechem and doesn't say b'chol moedeichem. When it comes to giving up, So, of course, kol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol moedecha. Whatever, what a moedecha doesn't mean money, it means masha ma'oid etzlecha. Whatever is very, very important, you'd be willing to give it up. When it comes to worshiping, it doesn't have so much to do with b'chol moedechem. The idea is I'm connecting. So la'avdai is b'chol levavchem v'chol nafshechem. I'm taking what I have and I'm connecting. It's not about what you're giving up. It's about what you're using to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You see the difference? The first paragraph is talking about what are you willing to give up? How valuable is this to you that you're willing to give up? Levavchem, levavcha, nafshecha, moedecha. What are you willing to give up? The second is not talking about giving up. It's talking about la'avdai b'chol levavchem v'chol nafshechem. How do you worship? How do we worship? So what we see before we even start is just praying for something is almost missing the point. Connecting, and therefore in the level of connection, connecting with everything that we learned about in Shaar Aleph, connecting, aligning my nefesh to my ruach, and getting a flow of bracha into my life, that's everything. And how do you connect? By taking all of my leiv and all of my nefesh and bringing it to this point. This is what we're doing when we do Shemoneh Esrei. Connecting. You understand me on this? This is such an important, subtle maybe, I don't know if it might be subtle, but it's an important nekuda. It's all about connecting, not about asking.
We usually translate avdo as serving. What's the nafka between saying worshiping and serving?
I don't know. My English is not that good, but serving it might be a correct word. Meaning, you see, I'll just give you a mashal. I don't want to say anything negative. I'm saying we'll see what I understand or don't understand. But Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, Olav Shalom, has a book called Meditation and Prayer, or Meditation and Jewish Prayer. In fact, he has two books, do two different things. Which was popular at one time, because meditation was popular at one time. And he points out that Shemoneh Esrei is really a meditation. And you find that the Hasidim Rishonim, the Hayashayim Sha'achas and Mispalim Sha'achas, they spent an hour preparing for davening. So what were they doing? Meditating. And he goes through a beautiful, beautiful book explaining the meditation that's possible. But this is the ha'ara, that when one, obviously there's a million different types of meditations, and it depends what you're meditating on. But very often, the whole idea of meditation is to quiet the mind and to get in touch with yourself and to sort of feel what you're feeling and get all the interference away. Yafet. Nice. It's a nice exercise. The avodah of tefillah is almost havuch l'gamri, because the avodah of tefillah has nothing to do with yourself. It's hispatulus of yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm here for you. What can I do for you today? It's very, very different. Now, I don't think that one can. And I read the book. I'm not just commenting on the title. I read the book. It seems to me to be a very good thing, but it seems to be not tefillah, because tefillah is this way and meditation is this way. I'm quieting everything out, and it's all sort of about me. Not that it's a selfish or egotistic thing to do or egoistic thing to do, but it is egocentric.
But isn't there, I think the Rav once said that tefillah is something that we already know inside. To teach somebody how to pray, it's really, we already know how. You can't explain it, but so clearing away all the static is actually going to be able to hear inside that.
So, excellent, well said, especially if you're quoting me. and the answer is that the Hasidim Rishonim did this for Sha'achas Lifnei HaTefillah. And a Chanami, how could you possibly stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu if you don't know who you are and what's going on inside of me and what's my deepest yearnings and find your neshama? You need that. And then daven. So they walked the 3 steps after the Sha'achas, not before the Sha'achas. This was not part of the Oimed Lifnei HaMelech. So a person comes and it's so davening, it's according to the Rambam, it's not even a mitzvah essay. Davening. Yet, so the sefer mitzvahs, the Ramban writes that, look, not everything has to be a mitzvah. Some things are more basic than mitzvahs even. You can't say a prayer is so central to Judaism, like we build shuls and you daven and everything. You can't. Okay, it's not a mitzvah. I mean,
more time doing it than any other mitzvah.
yeah, that's like what this is it. He goes to shul, he's a shul going person. Wake up for minyan, you tell your kids, right? This is the ikar of Yiddishkeit. So how do we say it's not a mitzvah? The Ramban says some things are more important than mitzvahs. They're more important, more basic. It's why is it so basic? It's basic that a person who's sitting in the world of Asiya has to connect with the world of Bria and the world of Yitzir and the world of Atzilus. That's what's basic. What's basic is that we were created here for a reason. It's like you'll hire somebody as an employee in your company. So there's two things. There's the job description. This is what I expect of you every day. But more basic than that is you're here for the company, correct? You're a company man. Isn't that the most basic? It doesn't have to say in the job description that you're here for the company. If you're not here for the company, get lost. Who wants you in this company? The whole idea is that you're mispatel yourself, and that's what I mean by ispatos. You're mispatel yourself to the purpose of your creation. And then what do I do? Okay, I'll put on tzitzis, I'll put on tefillin, I'll give tzedakah, I'll do all those things. But the tefillah is not necessarily a mitzvah. Others say it is a mitzvah, but according to Rambam, not necessarily a mitzvah. It's more basic than that, which is what we're doing here. So this is like 3 times a day we connect, get the whole thing aligned. Like you visit you do yourself, spiritual chiropractic first thing in the morning, and you stand, everything is aligned, my brain, everything is aligned, nefesh, ruach, neshama, and I'm here for you. So it's not so much about who am I and what am I. You have to do that in order to daven, Shaar Beis. But then the question is, how all my needs have to go away, aside to la'avdai b'chol levavchem v'chol nafshechem. That's what the Kriya Shema is telling you. La'avdai Ezu avodah shebelev havayomer zu tefillah. The tefillah is avodah shebelev. So the hispatlos. So is that worship? Is that serving? Maybe more serving than worship, to answer your question.
Really, is the worship the preparatory work?
Maybe. What does worship mean?
There's
like korbanos, you mean?
Saying this is a little bit of much like this building, for instance, right? So the building took 2 months to put up, but the planning 3 months. The physical building.
Right.
So
once you plan it.
In the 1970s, there was this competition called the 4-hour house, and they wanted to see if you can build a house in 4 hours. And they did it. They built a house in like 3 hours and 15 minutes, a whole house with landscaping and every electricity. People moved in the same day. They had hundreds of workers, but they spent 1.5 years planning for this. So that was the avoda. The avoda was the 1.5 years of planning, not the 3 hours and 10 minutes it took to build a house. So it was the avoda, the preparatory work.
So let's say in your mashal that one is the tefillah and one is the mitzvahs. Like, in other words, the mitzvah is what you have to do now. What you have to do, and you do it through mitzvahs, you do it through... It would be correct, even though it doesn't sound Jewish, it would be correct to come off of davening feeling inspired to do a particular thing today. Lahavdil Elef Havdil, as the Christians speak about, I prayed on it. Like, there's this idea of I've connected, and this is what I feel. A person could be zelcha to a certain level of Ruach HaKodesh, Oimid Lifnei HaKodesh Baruch Hu. Not so much to get what you want, but to get what Hashem wants into your life. That's the whole chap here. This is the whole chap, to get what Hashem wants into your life. That's the hispatlis.
Worshipping usually has a connotation, or sometimes has a connotation of adoration. And I'm just thinking the Rambam, when he talks about Krishna and so forth, he talks about it's seva ava.
Avos Hashem.
So is adoration?
Okay, so let's learn. I hear there's a lot of words.
No, I'm wondering.
No, I understand, but let's talk about avodah. Let's use the word avodah. So let's just get started over here. Parak Aleph. Ksiv. So state in Torah. This is in the second paragraph of Kriya Shema, as we say it. Siv la'avo es Hashem Elokeichem ula'avdoi b'chol levavchem u'b'chol nafshechem v'amar Rabbi Seinu Zal b'perakama d'Tainos. The Gemara learns from this pasuk v'sifri ezel hi avodah shebelev have oimer zu tefillah. How do you do this? Very nice. Ula'avdoi b'chol levavchem u'b'chol nafshechem. So the answer is you daven. So what we I don't even know what the word daven means. Forget about the word. I don't know what that word means. But a person's tefillah is avodah shebelev. So what the first step to keep in mind is we're talking about avodah shebelev. Hine ha'ava she'amar shetzrich liyos b'chol lev hu pashut. In the first paragraph of Kriya Shema, where we talk about haftas Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha, that's pashut. Why is it pashut? Ki hi mitzvos hatluyos b'lev. We're mechuyev to love Hashem more than we love ourselves. So that's pashut. At least that might not be pashut to do, but it's a pashut to understand what it means. Why would that be, by the way? Why should we love Hashem more than we love ourselves? Because at the end of the day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world and He created Adam to fulfill a certain goal. I presume Hashem loves us more than He loves Himself, so it's not a problem. But we're here for a purpose. Like you're in the army now, so like if you're already created in this world, so we're here for a purpose. So if we're here for a purpose, do your purpose.
That's what we just learned. We just learned it. That's why Yaakov Avinu did not cry on Yosef's shoulder. Yosef cried. Yaakov said Krishma. He gave over Big Reb Michelson. Gave over that feeling of that Hagash of love. Couldn't be that his love for another person would be greater than his love for Hashem, so he says Krishma.
Maral maybe says that, yeah. Hainu afgam limster nafshe olav yisbarach shmai mi oitzam nifleis ha'ava lo yisbarach. So ava again doesn't mean that I'm in love with God. Ava is a lashon of hav. That what am I giving? What am I contributing? It's a nicer word. What am I contributing here to the bria? That's what ava means. They changed the whole translation. What am I contributing to the bria? You created me. I'm here. Lakai neshama shenasata bi tahirihi ata vrasa ata yitzarta ata nefachta bi. Right? Isn't that what we're saying? Ata vrasa bria ata yitzarta yitzira ata nefachta bi asiya mishamra b'kirbi my goof. So now what? So the Ava is not so much about I love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't even know what that means. I love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I love what you do for me. What does it mean? What it means is the Ava means here I am as a contributor to this huge world, this company called the world, and what's my contribution to make? And somehow by tefillah, one can plug themselves into that and know what they're supposed to be doing. So that's Pashat. And then I have to ask myself, what's my physical skill set for? What are my talents for? What is my money for? What is my brain power for? That's what you have to ask yourself. How do I do this Ava? How do I fulfill this Ava? The parsha is uchidushu shechitsha, but when it comes to our parsha, and the parsha that he talks about at the beginning, which is la'avdai b'chol levavchem v'chol nafshechem, there is a chiddush here. The parsha is uchidushu shechitsha shegam ha'avoda hi ha'tefillah tzrich liyos b'chol lev v'chol nefesh. That davening also has to be b'chol lev v'chol nefesh. So I'm asking you something. If the purpose of davening is to ask Hashem for parnasa today, if that's the purpose of davening, again, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. It's built right into the Shemona Esrei to do it, to ask Rafa'inu and to ask Baruch Aleinu. That's fine. But if that's the purpose of davening, what's the b'chol levavchem and b'chol nafshechem? What's the kavanah here? Please give me money. I really want money. Chol levavcha, with all my heart, I want money. Chol nafshecha, my soul, I want money. Like, where is your tefillah going with this? Like, where? Where's it going? The b'chol levavchem u'b'chol nafshechem means I'm being able to give up my leiv and nefesh for the avodas Hashem. So it comes out that everything that I'm asking for is how could I do avodas Hashem better? This is the most basic secret of having your prayers answered, is don't pray for yourself. Pray that you can fulfill your purpose in this world and make the contribution you're supposed to make. Because if that requires money, Hashem will give you money if you're a good Jew and a good soldier. If it requires health, you get health. That's the way it works. The way it works is the more that we're mevatel ourselves, the more we get.
So is it better to not say, I need money, or just give me the resources I need
to do what I need to do?
Resources not to be money. Resources could be, a good therapist that you might need, or a good tutor your kids might need.
Even better. Like, in other words, okay, here, I'm doing your ratzon. So I got married, I have a family, I need to educate them, I need to teach them Torah, I need to make sure they're healthy, I need to make sure they eat well. Help me do this. I'm doing your ratzon. If the first sentence is, I'm doing your ratzon, now make everything work for me.
All the bakashas, though, seem to be also, all the bakashas in the Shemona Esrei seem to also be acknowledging that parnasa that I am asking for is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Exactly. It comes from you. I'm doing your ratzon. I'm a soldier. Now, make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen. And that's a completely altruistic prayer, as opposed to a selfish prayer, a self-centered prayer. I shouldn't call it selfish, but a self-centered prayer. And that's Is
this distinction only because we're just complicated adults? I mean, like a baby who cries for its mother for milk. There's no distinction between I need milk and I love you and you love me and this relationship. It's all one cry. There's no selfish and selfless. The baby and the mother are identified with each other completely. So is that just?
We're being more sophisticated, and we're saying that now that I can have kavanah, what should the kavanah be? Should it be I'm hungry, or should it be how do you expect me to do your ratzon if I'm hungry? That's the maturity of this. How do you expect me to do your ratzon if I'm sick? The chiddush here is shegam ha'avodah hitfilah tzriach liyos b'chol lev b'chol nefesh. That also needs b'chol levavchem b'chol nefesh. And again, the second paragraph here is not repeating the first paragraph. It's a chiddush that not only v'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavchem b'chol nefesh, but also la'avodas Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavchem b'chol nefesh. The chiddush. And that's why it doesn't say b'chol moedeichem parshazu. Why the different lashon? Ki parsha rishonim ma'arminian mitzvahs ha'ava l'chud, the mitzvah to love Hashem shaykh leimer sh'yava gam b'chol ma'od. It has to be with everything which is important to me. Zeh amayin. Hashamar chazal yesh l'chadam shemayne chaval l'migufa l'kachnem b'chol moedecha. Parsha zu, but in this parsha, the second parsha of Kriya Shema, which is extremely important, where we're talking about how to worship Hashem, a little bit, but it's not like I have to give my everything, but it's about like I'm taking everything. So I'm calling this connecting, meaning everything that you gave me, I'm refocusing. And it's not even a mitzvah, it's deeper than a mitzvah. I'm refocusing who I am, what I am, my personality, my leiv, my nefesh, and I'm saying, how do I align this with everything that we learned in Shaar Aleph? How do I align this with the whole pipeline coming through? We understand b'chol levavchem u'mavur kavanos hakasav l'shnei inyanim. Okay, and here we have our meditation. Chol levavchem. What's the difference b'chol levavchem u'v'chol nafshechem? Right? What's the difference between the two things? Shnei inyanim. Hainu inyan lifnais libai mitirdas hamachshavos. So again, first thing is chol levavcha. How can I stand? This is, I think, what David was saying before. How can I stand in front of Hashem and give Him my heart when my heart is full of all kinds of different things? How can I, so the first thing is like you have to, you're not allowed to daven like if you're balancing yourself. on the on the porch without makot here, because you're at the same time, some part of your lave is worried about falling, and you're not giving over your whole lave. So you need to be in a comfortable.
Your lave or your mind? Your lave or your mind, the machshavot.
My whole emotional self, which includes mind and heart. How can I concentrate fully if I'm concentrating on something else? My Mar himself, the Bryce Reish Perkei Nom, that says in Brachas HaMispal Tzarech Shechavenes Liboy Lishamayim. Liboy, L'chavim means to direct, focus. Shenamar Tachin Liba. So the lave is a very important thing here. Concentrate. First step is concentrate. Again, the heart, whatever the heart is, it's a problem because the lave is throughout the whole Tanakh. And we talk about the lave, and nobody even knows what it is. It's like it's Yitzhar. We don't know what the lave, but the lave is the seat of the emotion. Let's call it. Meditate. Get your das. So it's a beautiful thing with das, by the way. Like our minds are so something that took me too many years to discover. Sometimes you're trying to remember something that you heard. You're trying to remember something that you said. You're trying to remember somebody's name. You're trying to remember. Get a little older, it gets challenging to remember. And then just interesting that I'll share with you, if you can just quiet your world for a minute, all of a sudden you remember. It's there. It's not gone. I think nothing was, parach here, but there's just so much tumult going on. So if you could just quiet your mind for a second, you remember and you understand and just get just for a minute of getting rid of the tirda. So a person has to be lishhais lifnei shemispalo, just quiet. This was the Shaar Beis Achas koidem atfila. Just quiet your mind down. This is such a beautiful language. And that's what b'chol levavchem is. Shetismale kol halev rak b'kavanas tevois hatefila. Sheim yala b'libo eizem machshava acher, something else pops in your mind. Harei halev chalukas b'shnei machshavos. Comes out that you're not giving it b'chol levavchem. It's b'chol levavchem, and I've got to do carpool in 15 minutes, and it's b'chol levavchem, and I have to get to work, and b'chol levavchem. So the lave is mechulak l'shnayim. So you're not makayim the mitzvah b'chol levavchem. So give it the 2 minutes, instead of the long, it doesn't have to be a long Shemona Esrei, but just make it a real Shemona Esrei, in the sense that I can cleanse my mind and just give it this 1 or 2 minutes. It's just like, when you talk to somebody sometimes, just actively listen. I'm talking to you for 5 minutes. Can I really talk to you for 5 minutes? Big avodah. It's like really listen, actively listen, meaning not thinking about anything else and not thinking about even how I'm going to respond to you. And just listen, like such an exercise to just listen to somebody.
This is a extraordinarily amplified problem now in the current part of the generation that we're in. Not that long ago, it was very different. There's just, we expect to get so much out of each minute of each day, and we're thrown so much information and messaging that we're plugging into constantly.
So we're already looking.
We're really fighting against this to have this let go.
So here's a tremendous thing. I want to be a Jew. So back up, talking to somebody. Listen, daven. If you can't daven for 20 minutes, daven for 3 minutes. But daven, just daven. So the first step of davening is b'chol levavchem. The more interesting step, which is what we'll learn on Thursday, is b'chol levavchem u'b'chol nafshechem. What's the chiddush of V'chol Nafshechem based on everything that we said. So thank you very much.
Rabbi Lahamdil in the current thinking in the business world.